What it do, K crew? KTF? KTF setup? We're back. Well, we're not really back. This is a brand new type of video offering from the Keita Fabulous house. This is a challenge, a try not to get frightened challenge. This video that we'll be reacting to is called 10 US towns where locals warn you don't ever stop for gas. So it's got some spooky like type of shit going on. So let's just without further
When you drive
ado.
across America, some dangers are not marked on any sign. You are cruising down a two-lane highway. The sun
By
is
the way, this is from the YouTube channel Beyond the Map. All right.
dipping below the horizon and your gaslight flickers on. The nearest town looks peaceful enough, rows of quiet porches, a sleepy main street, maybe even a historic town square. But in these places, silence is not a sign of peace. It is a warning. We tend to think danger is loud, the sirens in Chicago, the headlines in Detroit. But the real nightmares often come from places you have never heard of. Small towns torn apart by economic collapse and generational trauma, where stopping at a gas station becomes a calculated risk. From the rusting industrial skeletons of Bessemer to the art-filled shadows of Taos, we are counting down 10 towns so volatile that do not stop is
And you
not
can
just
tell he didn't
advice,
use
it is a
AI
survival
to write
strategy.
this. You could tell.
By the time we reach number
You just
1, you
can't.
will realize that a town name can be its greatest lie. Number 10, Bogalusa, Louisiana. The prophecy in a name. Bogalusa sits in the pine forests of southeastern Louisiana, less than an hour from the Mississippi state line. The name translates to dark water in Choctaw, and it feels prophetic.
Choctaw.
Beneath the southern charm of the pine forests
It is
lies a landscape defined by economic collapse.
language
Bogalusa was
with
once a
Latin
company
roots.
town built around a massive paper mill that employed most of the population. When the mill downsized and lost its role as the town's primary economic engine, the local economy unraveled. What followed wasn't renewal, but prolonged stagnation. Today, Bogalusa combines a poverty rate of 31%, a per capita income barely clearing $20,000, and violent crime rates exceeding 1,100 incidents per 100,000 residents, more than 3 times the national average. It has earned a grim nickname among locals, Bogalusa. Locals do not describe Bogalusa as chaotic. They describe it as tense. Gas stations close early. Many operate behind heavy security bars and reinforced storefronts, or sit completely abandoned. At night, large parts of the town go dark not because of curfews, but because there is no reason to stay open. This is not a place where danger announces itself loudly. It is a place where opportunity quietly disappeared and nothing meaningful replaced it. Number 9, Tulia.
And what's horrible about that place, if I may add, is that no one really should come there because there's no gas stations to go into in the first place. So stopping there for gas is kind of like a misjudgment on anyone's part, really. So, and yes, ignoring all the crime and stuff, it looks like a horrible place. Not to be offensive, it looks like a horrible place.
Tulia, Texas. When the law becomes the threat. Tulia sits on the high plains of the Texas Panhandle, surrounded by farmland and open sky. It is small, isolated, and easy to miss if you were just passing through. But Tulia became nationally known for a reason that had nothing to do with crime rates or poverty. In 1999, nearly 10% of the town population was arrested in a single drug sting. The charges were severe, the sentences were long, and almost all of the accused were black in a town that was overwhelmingly white. The entire case rested on the testimony of one undercover officer. No recordings, no video, no physical evidence. For years, the conviction stood. Families were torn apart. People lost jobs, homes, and decades of their lives. Eventually, the case unraveled. The officer was discredited. The convictions were overturned, and the state of Texas issued pardons. But by then, the damage was permanent. Today, Tulia is quiet, almost unnervingly so, not because crime is rampant, but because trust never fully returned. This is not a place where travelers are warned about gunfire or robberies. It is a place where the legal system itself once became the threat. Gas stations here do not feel dangerous, they feel watched. In towns like Tulia, the fear is not about what might happen on the street. It is about what can happen when the people meant to protect you decide you do not belong. Number 8.
I would have put the previous Boogaloo on Tulia's spot because you could actually die there if you're a tourist. Whereas in Tulia, if you live there, then you die. And you know, if you live somewhere, yeah, you'd be stopping for gas there for the most part. But this video specifically entails the locals warn you. Locals warning each other kind of like does not make any sense if you think about it. But for me, from my perspective, you know, my all knowing, all great, all magnificent, all fabulous perspective, I think that Tuya is not so bad. It's just really ugly as well.
Stillwell, Oklahoma. Violence in strawberry country. Stillwell calls itself the strawberry capital of the
I
world.
think I saw
This is a
Shy
town of
Gilgis
fewer than
Alexander there.
4,000 people that markets itself as an adorable, fruit-filled slice of Americana.
Fruit filled. This is like this is no there's no greenery in sight. This is like fruit fruit dismissed.
But look past the annual festival brochures, and you will find enough violent crime to keep a CSI
Fruit
team
absent.
busy year-round. In 2023, the town violent crime rate was over 5 times higher than the national average, 1,400 incidents per 100,000 people, with a poverty rate soaring over 40%. This is what happens when you gut social services and ignore economic decay for decades. Crime blooms faster than the fruit. Stillwell sits in Adair County, one of the poorest regions in the state, plagued by a complex history of neglect and broken promises. Behind the scenes, local law enforcement is underfunded and struggling to manage meth trafficking routes and intergenerational gang activity. Drive through on a summer afternoon and you will see porches, flags, and sleepy dogs. But locals in Facebook groups offer more honest travel advice. Do not stop. Do not even slow down. It is the ultimate American small town paradox charm up front and total chaos behind the curtain. Number 7, Hamtramck, Michigan. Diversity in a
Well, I don't even know what to say about that one, to be honest. I don't even know what to say about that one. I was trying to do the math in my head on the national average the whole time.
pressure cooker. Hamtramck is completely surrounded by Detroit. It is one of the smallest cities in Michigan by area, but one of the most densely populated. Within its 2 square mile border, 28,000 people are packed into one of the highest population densities in the state. That density is the spark.
This
When you
looks like
compress
Smiling
poverty,
Friends.
underemployment, and cultural friction into such a tight space, tension doesn't diffuse, it collides. While Hamtramck's overall crime rate sits near the national average, its violent crime rate runs higher, driven largely by robberies and aggravated assaults. For decades, Hamtramck was defined by the auto industry. Immigrant workers built lives around factory shifts, neighborhood bars, and tight-knit streets. As the old auto-era factories declined and lost their central role, the city didn't disappear. It transformed. Today, Hamtramck is one of the most culturally diverse cities in the United States, with large Muslim and immigrant communities from South Asia, the Middle East, and Eastern Europe. That transformation saved the city economically, but it also created friction. In Hamtramck, you learn situational awareness early. You learn which streets feel alive and which ones feel like they are watching you back. It is a place where you can get world-class kebabs at midnight and still instinctively decide that this is one gas station you are not stopping at. The rent might be low, but between the car break-ins and the constant stress tax of living in a pressure cooker, you have to ask yourself, is the savings worth the price of your peace?
What the hell is this? Michigan. Only in Michigan. My chicken. Only in my, what am I saying? Often called the world in 2 square miles, widely recognized the most culturally diverse in the U.S. world, producer popular for more than less 20, surrounded by Detroit. Okay, so a Polish enclave, blah, blah, Yemeni, Bangladeshi, majority Muslim city council. Over 40% are foreign born. Wait a minute, he did use AI on the script. He's using it right now. This is Gemini. But if you were, if you're an OG of Gemini, you'd know that its name was originally Bard. Okay, he's just saying it's diverse.
Number 6.
He didn't even bother narrating it. He just put up his quote unquote findings from AI. Anyways, I think that one's not so bad. Hamatrack is not so bad. I would like to go eat there. He said there was some kebabs there, so that should be good if you're friendly and stuff. But I think that I don't know. This list is not like increasing in intensity. It's like increasing in whatever the AI he used, Gemini, like listed, enumerated to him. It wasn't so bad. I wouldn't live there though. It's definitely worthy of a stop. Like as compared to the first one, Hullabalooza.
Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Beauty with a bruise. Pine Bluff sits along the Arkansas River, southeast of Little Rock. It was once one of the most important industrial cities in the state. Timber, agriculture, and manufacturing built this town. For a time, they sustained it. When those industries declined, Pine Bluff did not slowly fade. It dropped. Population fell sharply. Jobs disappeared faster than new ones could replace them, and entire neighborhoods were left behind. Today, Pine Bluff violent crime rate is approximately 1,650 per 100,000 residents, nearly 5 times the national average. This is not a town suffering from a temporary spike. It is a city suffering from the long-term erosion of its tax base and the flight of its industrial heart. With a poverty rate of 37% and shrinking public safety budgets, the tension here has become a permanent fixture of the landscape. Locals have developed a grim sense of humor about it, often joking that sirens have replaced cicadas as the city unofficial evening soundtrack, but the reality is far from funny. There is a firm consensus among residents on where
This
funny
this
says
spot
the city unofficial evening soundtrack, but the reality is
this spot kind of looks like the hospital scene in Dark Knight Returns. No, not Dark Knight Returns. The Dark Knight with the Joker in it.
far from funny. There
Just
is
wanted
a
to say that.
firm consensus among residents on where not to walk and especially where not to stop after the sun goes down. You can stand by the Arkansas River at sunset and feel the warmth of the breeze, but when you hear that distant, familiar siren, you realize you are witnessing beauty with a bruise. Number 5, Wilmington, Delaware. Division behind glass walls.
That wasn't so bad
Wilmington
either.
sits between Philadelphia and Baltimore, positioned on one of the wealthiest corridors in the United States. On paper, it should be thriving. Wilmington is home to major banks, corporate headquarters, and some of the most business-friendly laws in the country. Billions of dollars move through this city every day. But very little of that wealth stays. Just blocks from glass office towers are neighborhoods that have struggled with poverty, underfunded schools, and persistent violent crime for decades. Despite its small population, Wilmington homicide rate has repeatedly ranked among the highest per capita in the nation. The deception here is what makes it so unsettling. You can stand in the shadow of $1 billion banking headquarters and be less than a mile away from streets where the violent crime rate has historically tripled the national average. In Wilmington, wealth does not trickle down, it is walled off. When you pull off the I-95 for gas, do not let the corporate logos on the horizon fool you into a false sense of security. In Wilmington, the danger is not hidden in the woods. It is baked into the very concrete of the city divide. It is a place where the Suit and the Hollow Point live on the same street, and only one of them is protected by a glass wall. Number 4, Bessemer, Alabama.
I have to say, I would not live there. Even in the buildings. Honestly, these towns, I would not live in any of them. These look like horrendous. Sorry, they're just not for me. They're just like not a nice looking place to live in. I don't know what it is. I think it's the architecture or the way the town's like set up. But I would not live here. I live in somewhere worse.
The ghost of the American dream. If you want to see the literal ghost of the American dream, go to Bessemer. Once a
Oh
booming
my!
center of the iron and steel industry, this city didn't just decline, it hollowed out. Today,
The
the landscape is
trenches.
dominated by massive, rusted industrial skeletons that loom over residential blocks like prehistoric monsters. Bessemer isn't just dangerous for its size, it's often overlooked in national conversations,
The
despite
roads
boasting
look
some of the
horrible.
highest per capita violent crime rates in the country. While nearby Birmingham draws the headlines, Bessemer quietly
Birmingham.
reports levels that translate to more than 33 violent incidents per 1,000 residents, roughly a 1 in 30 annual risk. Here, violence isn't a breaking story. It's the low-frequency hum of daily life, as persistent as the rust on the old furnaces. Bessemer
It's a
sits
fucking
just southwest of
shithole.
Birmingham, close enough to a major metro area to feel its pull, but far enough away to absorb its problems. Once known as the Marvel City, it was built on steel and heavy industry. For decades, those jobs defined daily life and sustained the local economy. As that industrial base eroded and lost its central role, recovery never fully arrived. Poverty still hovers near 30%, and with a weakened tax base, the city's infrastructure has become a maze of potholed streets and flickering lights. What makes Bessemer so unsettling is its post-industrial madness, a community built for many times its current population, leaving those who remain to live in a city that feels far too large and far too empty. Number 3, Oak Haven, Tennessee. Logistical hell.
Yo, that place was
Most
horrible.
people think of Memphis for its music or its barbecue, but a few miles south of the neon lights lies Oak Haven, a place that defines logistical hell. This isn't a town with a quaint main street. It's a neighborhood literally trapped between the world's busiest cargo airport and a sprawling network of interstate truck routes. In Oak Haven, the danger isn't hidden in the dark. It's illuminated by the harsh yellow glow of industrial floodlights that never turn off. Oak Haven is a statistical nightmare hidden in plain sight. It is consistently ranked as one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in a city that is already one of the most violent in America. Here, the violent crime rate doesn't just climb, it spikes. We are looking
I'm not
at
an
a
advocate
community
for
where
it, but they should
poverty
nuke this
sits at
place.
nearly 30%, and the infrastructure is designed for moving freight, not for protecting people. The transition from a shipping hub to a crime scene happens in the blink of an eye. What makes Oak Haven so unsettling is its non-place energy. It's an endless grid of distribution centers, weed-choked lots, and residential blocks where the air
What
smells
the-
like jet fuel and exhaust. This is a place where the world's goods pass through at high speed, but the people living there are stuck in a cycle of generational neglect. The violence here feels mechanical robberies, carjackings, and assaults that happen under the constant, deafening roar of planes overhead. If you pull off for gas near the airport, you'll notice that nobody lingers. The gas stations are fortified, and the vibe is one of urgent defensive survival. It's a place where the constant
Urgent
noise of the world
defensive
moving past you
survival.
only highlights how forgotten
Those are
you
three
are.
adjectives.
In Oak Haven, you aren't just in a dangerous neighborhood, you're in the gears of a machine that doesn't care if you get caught in the teeth. Keep your engine running and your eyes on the mirror. In Oak Haven, the only thing moving faster than the cargo is the risk. Number 2, Miami, Arizona. A false promise in the desert.
What the?
Miami, Arizona is not what the name suggests. There are no beaches, no palm trees, no ocean air. Miami sits in the high
This looks
desert of eastern
horrendous.
Arizona, surrounded by open-pit copper mines and steep, exposed hillsides. The town exists because of mining, and it has struggled because of it.
Look at the
When copper
roads.
prices rise, Miami holds on. When they fall, the town contracts. Decades of extraction have left behind environmental damage, limited economic diversity, and a population that has steadily declined. Miami is small, but it doesn't feel simple. In this compact pocket of desert landscape,
Does anyone
the city's
live
overall
here?
crime rate is reported at roughly 56.5 incidents per 1,000 residents.
This is where like you dump a body
At the same time,
after you
Miami
murder
struggles with
someone
a poverty
in
rate
a,
of about
in a different
32%,
city or town.
adding another layer of strain to a town with few economic buffers. This is not a violent place in the traditional sense. It is a disorienting one. gas stations here don't feel unsafe. They feel out of place, isolated, underused, and serving a community that no longer knows what comes next. Miami makes this list not because of spectacle or chaos, but because it represents something more subtle than crime. It's the gap
Decay.
between a name and a reality, a reminder that branding, history, and hope don't always survive contact with economics.
I mean, at least they have a
Number
church.
1, Taos, New Mexico. Systemic
Oh.
failure beneath beauty. Taos is often described as a refuge. For generations, artists, writers, and seekers have been coming here, drawn by the light, the landscape, and the promise
This
of
was
a
not so
different kind of
bad.
life. On
It's
the
not
surface,
as ugly as the
Taos
other
looks
ones.
successful. The galleries are full, the homes are expensive, and the town appears to have preserved its identity in a way few places have. But that version of Taos is not the one most people live in. This is not a city breaking down with violent statistics or chaos, but per capita,
You're telling me you shouldn't stop over here at Taos? This is the best looking one out there. But let's listen.
Taos is one of the most violent small towns in the entire Southwest. The violent crime rate here is roughly double the national average, and property crime, specifically burglary and theft, is a constant looming threat. What makes Taos the most dangerous stop on this list is the architecture of neglect. It is a town allergic to basic infrastructure, spotty lighting, fragmented police jurisdiction, and emergency response times that stretch dangerously thin because help is often miles away. Beneath the image is a deep economic divide. Wages lag far behind housing costs. Longtime residents are priced out of the communities they grew up in. Much of the surrounding population lives without reliable infrastructure, limited access to running water, electricity, or consistent employment. Taos is number 1 not because it is dangerous, but because it reveals something harder to confront. That even the most beautiful places can hide systems that no longer work for the people who call them home. When a town prioritizes its aesthetic over its stability, the gaps are filled by the desperate. Taos is proof that you can pay luxury prices for a lifestyle that requires you to lock your soul every time the sun goes down. These towns are not anomalies. They are mirrors. They reflect what happens when industry leaves, when the law fails, when wealth passes through without stopping. They show the other side of America, not the land of
I
skyscrapers
thought
and
those were
opportunity,
thought
but
those
of
were water
forgotten
bottles.
communities and broken promises. So the next time you see a quiet town on a road trip, remember, quiet is sometimes not peace. Sometimes it is just absence.
Okay. Honestly, Taos doesn't look that bad to like stop over at. The rest are like horrendous places, especially the one where it's a logistics hub, and the one where it's like a bunch of banks, and then on the other side there's like a bunch of decrepit houses. No one lives in anymore. Those are the ugliest places I've ever seen. Like I thought America would like had more to offer, but come on now. Yeah, that's about the video.